Prince of the Ancients, written by G. L. Preston, narrated by Amara Olim.
Chapter 1. Draco. The day she catches me will be the day she rips my wings off. The thought caused a deep laugh to bubble up from my chest, one which I couldn't hold in as I glanced back at Althea. Her wide nostrils flared as she huffed, a scowl on her lavender face, the sun reflecting off her feather-tipped wings as she flapped furiously to try and keep up with me. My eyes closed as I turned my head forward, stretching my wings to feel the breeze glide over them like a smooth caress from soft fingers. The skies were where I truly felt at peace, gliding and free-falling through the air. Not a worry in the world when you're above it. A colossal draconi I might be, but when I was free in the crystal skies of home, of Tenebris, I felt as light as the air itself. And for the first time in fucking months, I felt truly free. Tucking my wings in, my stomach dipped as I dropped into a sharp dive over the edge of Pistil waterfalls, feeling the water's cold spray hit my face. I pulled up sharply above the surface of the lake, gliding over to land softly at the rocky water's edge. Althea landed moments later. She tucked in her wings, shaking water droplets from the velvet soft white fur that adorned the top of her head and spine. Peering in her direction, I laughed gruffly again as I spotted the harsh look she was sending me, her icy blue eyes fierce.
You know, Draco, you don't have to show off how fast you are at every opportunity,
she thought irritably. The Draconis magical ability to communicate with our minds had been bestowed upon us by the first mages aeons ago. My grin was smug as I tilted my horned head. Come now, Althea. If I don't remind you all who's boss around here now and again, you'd have my head. She rolled her eyes, an expression I'd grown accustomed to during my conversations with Althea.
That sounds about right. But we've hardly seen you all summer. How is your apprenticeship with your father going?
Her bright eyes had softened in concern, the action sending a flash of regret through me. It was true. I was absent more than usual this summer, and other than passing comments, this was the first opportunity we had had to talk about it alone without the prying ears and eyes of my father's court. My nostrils flared as I let out a long breath, and the rant left my head before I could filter anything. I don't understand why it's all so sudden. I'm only 26. My father always told me that preparing for my future role would take decades. I feel like a weight has been placed around my neck. The training has been more rigorous over the past year, but I just put that down to precaution. Then, out of nowhere, this summer my duties have doubled. My shoulders relaxed as I talked. I could tell Althea almost anything. We had been close friends since birth, growing and training together. At one point, nearly more than friends. But I didn't like to dwell on that. My studies meant that I couldn't see her much these days. But when we did, it was like nothing had changed. That meant a lot to me. Training has never been a bother before, I went on. But with the additional statecraft lessons this summer, I've tried talking to Boone about it, but he just explained that after one of their conversations. A small huff left my nostrils and I shook my horned head. He and my father thought it best to start my preparations this year. But I can feel something coming under the surface. It's as if... My words trailed off, and I clenched my jaw as I looked down at the ground, the soil breaking apart under my black claws. The extra schooling didn't concern me much. It was the decisions being made for me when I wasn't even being consulted. It was the gut instinct that things had been hidden from me. And that wasn't something I was willing to share for fear of Althea worrying. She carried me enough on her shoulders without sharing any of my burdens. Althea wouldn't push me. She knew if I wanted to say something, I would.
Perhaps it has to do with these wyvern attacks we've heard about,
she suggested. We had picked up the rumours during combat training, whispers spreading through the guard, and my father had confirmed them when I asked, his face more solemn than usual. Wyverns was the term we used to encompass all animal wildlife throughout the whole continent, Ruvalon. From the gentle butterfly to the terrifying creatures that roam the planet's oceans. And over the past couple of years, to the southeast of our border, multiple attacks had been carried out, seemingly at random, on the unsuspecting mortals in the realm by wyverns of all shapes and sizes at an increasing rate. Increasing and alarming, judging by my father's emotional state. I'd caught him pacing his study on several occasions. If a 1,000-year-old Draconi Emperor, one of the most powerful beings in Ruvalon, was worried about something, then I should share that worry. The burden of rule would fall to me one day, and it would be my responsibility to ensure the survival of Tenebris. No pressure, then. Anxiously, my magic swelled in response to Althea's suggestion. I shifted my head from side to side, weighing it up. It is possible, and certainly something I would want help with. The difficulty is that the attacks are moving further south into the human realm. The thought had crossed my mind that we could simply approach the southern rulers and offer our help. But not only were mortals terrified of us, we weren't supposed to visit their realm. They had no idea we could shift into human form, and to give that away would be a huge sacrifice to us. A creeping feeling of being watched settled over me, and I caught Althea studying me closely, her intense eyes practically burning into the side of my face. Her gaze met mine, and my eyes narrowed in amusement. See something you like, darling? Althea softly chuckled.
Most certainly not. I was just thinking, if they need someone to venture south, and you wish to take an extended vacation from your studies, perhaps you should offer to do it yourself.
My head shot round, and I was shocked at the seriousness in her face. To venture south? I can't tell if you're joking or not. Do you honestly believe my father would ever allow that to happen? He would laugh me out of the room if I asked.
Well,
Althea stood, craning her neck as she extended her graceful wings, ready to take flight.
You'll never know if you don't ask, Draco.
Dust flew up as she took off without a second glance in my direction, and I considered what she had said. The idea of venturing into the human realm did fill me with a surge of adrenaline, my magic churning in excitement. If I went, I might be able to find the answer as to why the wyverns had started these attacks so close to our borders. Because as the mortals suspected our people of being the cause, it could start a war. My eyes felt heavy when I thought about continuing my studies, my brain overstimulated from the monotony of daily hours of reading. It didn't take long to make up my mind. My dragon form urged me onward as I stood, stretching the muscles in my legs before unfolding my wings, adjusting to the airflow around me. Pushing down hard, I took off toward the palace. And there it was, the aerial view of all that mattered to me. Beyond the city, lush green and floral lands lay, a beautiful tapestry upon the earth's skin as far as the eye could see. Within the city walls were the various bustling districts, scattered around the river which flowed through the centre. Several tiered waterfalls of different sizes led it over the basalt rocks and met at the bottom of where the paradise blue lake sat, only disturbed by the foam that lathered at the base of the falls and the creatures that swam beneath. The lake was surrounded by sweeping cherry trees that swayed in the cool air. If possible, the city looked even more stunning at night, when the lights glowed like luminous stars that had dropped to earth. To the north stood tall, enchanting spires of stone so white that it captured and reflected all light. Even by night, you could still make them out clearly, a shining beacon in the darkness. And for each room that the spires contained, a smooth balcony adorned the outside. The royal palace of Tenebris. Landing on my balcony, I folded my black wings tightly before shifting into my human form, my dragon internally sighing at our relaxing morning flight. Whilst unable to have a normal conversation with my inner beast, I could feel his emotions, he usually being the more irrational one. When I was growing up, I thought it was strange, knowing that once I turned 13, I would have another entity living within me. But after living with him for half my life, it felt as natural as the skin I'd been born into. I took the stone steps down to the main chamber of my room. A slight cough from the corner caused me to jump, surprised to be caught off guard for once. A glance showed me a streak of white through long black hair and sharp amber eyes on me. I laughed. If you wanted to see me naked, Aunt, you need only have asked. I grabbed a shirt and some black trousers from my cabinet as he sat, severe as ever. Cold out, is it? My best friend asked. I shot him a raised brow. I've been sent to retrieve you. Your father wishes to see you in the throne room. What a coincidence. I want to speak to him. There's something I wish to ask of him. I buttoned my white shirt in front of the mirror, contemplating my reflection and wondering if I would fit in within the human realm. We had been human once, before being blessed by the mages. But sometimes, our draconic forms felt more true than our mortal ones. The unusual blueness of my eyes might stand out, but since the end of the war, the rest of the continent south of Tenebris had been full of all kinds of fairy folk and creatures, so moving around unnoticed shouldn't be too much of a challenge. Brushing strands of hair back from my face, I turned to face Aunt. I could tell my statement had piqued his interest from the subtle narrowing of his eyes. It took everything I had to keep a smirk off my face, waiting for him to take the bait. Fine, I'll bite. What's the request? There it was. I feigned shock. What's this? Our great seeker of knowledge doesn't know something before everyone else. I'm surprised our dear Althea hasn't told you already. It was her idea. Aunt's ability to move around almost undetected, thanks to his silent footsteps and impeccable hearing, made for the ultimate spy. He was usually the only person who could take me by surprise. His eyes narrowed. I see how it is. You speak to Althea at a wisp of her wings, but not your closest friend. He mocked hurt by covering his heart with his hands, poking out his bottom lip. I responded by firing him a rude gesture. It's not like that. Althea is beautiful, but too close to home for me. And anyway, I thought you would enjoy witnessing it for yourself. I headed for the door. Well, are you coming? His smile stretched from ear to ear as he stood up from the corner chair. Oh, I wouldn't miss this for the world.